Go ahead and close your eyes. Allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears. Allow the muscles in your face to droop down. Unclench your jaw. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Go ahead and open your eyes. Hello and welcome to Mindful Moves. My name is Dan and I'm so happy that you're here today. We are going to be diving into a topic that I've only recently learned how to implement. Recently being the last 2 years, but for me it feels pretty recent. And that is intuition and being able to listen to that. And I think even through this podcast and through anything that you've listened to in your life, whether it's information over the internet, through books, through people, I think we have an overwhelming amount of information accessible to us at the moment. And although obviously that has huge benefits because we're learning and growing faster than ever before, it can take us a bit out of touch or out of balance with listening to ourselves and our intuition. And this can happen so quickly because it's so easy to Google something or to watch how someone else does it. And I myself can personally vouch that I've done the same. When I was diagnosed with PCOS, with a hormone imbalance, the first thing I did was rely on outside external sources. I wanted to know everything that I could know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I was eventually, after months and months, still seeking the exact step-by-step of how other people would do it, or people that I looked up to who had healed this. And I listened to their podcasts and I watched what they did, and I, actively was just consuming the information. And the one thing that was missing in that, because it's great to learn, that's a great side, but the one thing that was missing was me tapping into, hey, what does my body need right now? It's one thing to get a step-by-step and implement that in your life, but there's no rules for your life. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. What works for somebody may not work for you, whether that's a physical thing, emotional, whatever it may be. Some people thrive with talk therapy. Some people need to do more subconscious programming. Some people need to do breath work. It really depends on you as a person in your healing journey. And this applies to anything in life. It doesn't have to be, my hormone imbalance in the beginning was more of a medical thing. I didn't really see it as something that was with my spiritual side. But later on, it was linked. However, what I did was constantly seek outside of myself. I didn't pause and tap into, hey, how does this feel? I changed a lot of lifestyle things, but I want to remind you that it doesn't matter if you are eating according to the book. It doesn't matter if you're exercising on par with what's recommended. It doesn't matter if you're reading exactly what the person that you look up to read. None of that is going to benefit you in a positive way if you yourself aren't able to tap into what's working and what's not. When I finally slowed down and started reconnecting with my intuition, because it's so easy when something like that happens, you run away from that feeling because it can feel scary. It can feel, what's wrong with my body? Why is this happening? And so quickly we can spiral. And the first thing we want to do is jump on a train of, we need to fix this, right? But our body is so intuitive and it's so smart that it knows exactly what it needs to tell you. And being able to stop and pause and not run from your body and from yourself is something that really helped me. I was able to slow down. And when I did that, the main message that I got through my body was, you need to slow down. I was waking up and I was in a very fast-paced maybe let's call it rhythm. And this was producing way too much cortisol in my body. And as a woman and learning about my femininity and how my body works specifically, a lot of what I was missing was that soft, female essence. I was a lot in my masculine energy, which means I was productive and I was getting stuff done and I was working, and it was all flowing. But what was missing for me was this dropping into the softer life. And once I finally listened to my body, because everything in life is truly about balance. It's not about having only feminine energy and no masculine. It's not about having too much masculine. It's not about light or dark. It's about finding that equilibrium that works for you. And if you can imagine it, every single person's equilibrium is different. There's no one size fits all. And once I started listening to my body and implementing that, I basically adopted a soft life, I like to call it. And the soft life just meant slowing down. My mornings were not, I'm usually so productive in the mornings. And so I thought I had to wake up and be productive. But what was more important was how I started the morning and how I set the energy and the tone for the morning. Now, we all can lead different lives and busy lives, but it was about I had the time, even if it's 30 minutes of your morning or you wake up a bit earlier, I had the time to implement a softer life. And that softer life included slowing down, changing how I, viewed my day, changing and shifting that. And that was so important because with that, I was finally listening to my body. My body said slow down. And before I was still in my masculine, running towards the answer. What's the solution? What do I need to do? I slowed down. And that's what I needed. I needed to be with myself. I needed to implement a slow and steady and mindful morning where I would normally do that in different parts of the day. And no one on the internet and no one could have told me, hey, Daniela, your body specifically needs you to slow down in the morning at this time, from this time to this time, and then again at this time. Nobody could have told me that. There's no blueprint for my genetics and my makeup out there. The only person who can access it is me. And that was something that was a huge lesson to me because it didn't matter how much nutrition I would change or exercise routines I would change. They weren't actively helping me because I wasn't listening to what I needed. And I want to remind you of this because especially this whole season has been a lot of talking about inner work, certain lifestyle changes that you can implement to bring your body to this safe, calm space. And ultimately, I'm here to say that nobody, doesn't matter how much they've studied, what they've learned, nobody is an expert on your body and your feelings. Nobody. They can help you and give you tools. But ultimately, I believe that the tools should be given and shared. And you are the person who's going to find the answer. You are the person who's going to find what you're looking for. And you need to learn how to listen to yourself. And this was a key thing for me because I think so often I placed so much value and I placed other people and their expertise on a pedestal. And it's so easy for us to do. People with a lot of followers or someone who's highly ranked in a social world. We often place them above ourselves. I'm here to remind you a key element that nobody is better than anybody else. We can be very different. That word can be used, but nobody is above. And I think that a lot of the time when we're on this journey, a lot of, I think we all go through it. You start connecting with yourself, you go on this journey and you do the work. And sometimes the superiority complex comes over where you think, oh, I'm doing so much better than everybody else. And because I'm working on myself, I'm better than them. And I'm here to say that that is so not the case. And that is the opposite direction of where you should be going. And no two people can be compared in that way. Nobody is better and nobody is worse. I like to describe it to my friends and family in an easy way. So imagine you have this vibrational charge, you have this energy, and let's say you're here and you're in the middle. And someone else who has a different lifestyle that you don't really resonate with, they may be floating, and in your head you might think that they are below you because they do things differently to you. But I want to remind you that we are all, imagine both of those people are now on the same line. They are in the same line, But because you're so different, you just get pulled further and further away, meaning your frequencies are just not in alignment. So you're so far away from each other that if one person were to speak, you don't really hear what they're saying. And this is how I like to imagine it, because there's nobody that's better than or worse than. And this is a key element with your healing. Nobody, just because they have experience, will know better about yourself than you. 100% they will give you the tools. And that's the best thing about mentorship or coaching or whatever it may be. People can be there for you, they can hold you accountable, and they can give you the tools to help yourself. But I used to truly believe that someone else was going to come in and change my life. Someone I need to hire, or they need to mentor me. They will be there to serve a certain purpose. But from that moment on, it's up to you. It is up to you to implement the change. We've all been there. If you've been in a toxic relationship or whatever it may be, and your family will say to you, you need to get out of this, something needs to change. Or maybe somebody in the family has a health condition, but they're really not helping themselves and they are hurting themselves. Someone will beg them, please change this. Family will beg you, change this. If you are not ready, it doesn't matter who says anything to you. You won't change, because the only person capable of that's you. And that's how much power you have. You need to make sure that you remember that. And that power links to your intuition, being able to hear yourself. And that is why we are creating a safe space for our bodies. We are breathing, we're moving, we are in nature, and we are expressing ourselves, because we are learning to create a safe space for our beings to be heard. So much of what we feel and that comes out of our intuition is dulled down. It's so dull that you can't hear it anymore, because you have thousands and thousands of layers of everybody else's opinions, what they have to say, studies, whatever it may be. Nobody knows what's the best for you except for you. So I hope you remember that through learning. And I mean, this journey is so fascinating. Every single human is unique. Everybody's journey is different. Go out there with the intention of learning, but understand that ultimately you know best. You really, really do. Even if someone tells you that that's not true, you need to learn to build that courage and build that trust in yourself. And as we mentioned, that's why we are cultivating small but meaningful changes in our lives, because you're building confidence within yourself. And remember to tap into that intuition. Remember that the light that you are constantly seeking outside of yourself is waiting to be acknowledged within. With that, I'm going to say thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next week.